जय हिंद दोस्तों, मैं हूं मेजर मोहम्मद अली शाह और आज मेरा बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य है कि मैं अपने एक ऐसे सीनियर के साथ गुफ्तगू में होऊंगा जो हमारे जिस एकेडमी से मैंने पास आउट किया, जिसने मेरे को ऑफिसर बनाया, वहां के मैं तो SS-76 कोर्स का था। 76, आप सोचिए, कोर्स नंबर 1, पायलट कोर्स, द फर्स्ट बैच ऑफ ऑफिसर्स ट्रेनिंग एकेडमी चेन्नई। तब ऑफिसर्स ट्रेनिंग स्कूल था उस जमाने में। तो उनके साथ गुफ्तगू में होऊंगा जो कि बहुत ही जाबाज ऑफिसर हैं, जो इनको सेना मेडल से नवाजा गया है अपनी बहादुरी के लिए। विशिष्ट सेवा मेडल से 2 बार नवाजा गया है। इनको कॉम्पिटिशन कार्ड मिले हैं। इनका बहुत ही इलस्ट्रियस करियर रहा है इनका। बल्कि 1971 में इन्होंने बांग्लादेश में वॉर में, लिबरेशन ऑफ बांग्लादेश में बड़े ही अच्छे से तरीके से अपनी भूमिका निभाई थी। और तब जाके 2019 में इनको फ्रीडम फाइटर ऑफ बांग्लादेश के खिताब से नवाजा गया था बांग्लादेश में। और बहुत कुछ है। ये बहुत नोन फेस है। ही नीड्स नो इंट्रोडक्शन। यू ऑल हैव सीन हिम ऑन वेरियस टीवी पैनल्स गिविंग अ वेरी बैलेंस्ड, वेरी मैच्योर, वेरी स्टेबल analysis of his. And let us please welcome. I can go on. He has thereafter very interestingly, I must tell you, भाई मैंने असम राइफल्स के साथ मैं डेप्यूटेशन में गया था एज अ यंग कैप्टन। जाते ही मैं मेजर साहब बन गया था। He had, as a brigadier sahab, he had gone on deputation to the border security force, to the BSF, and we will hear his experience there as well. I can go on and on about sir, about Brigadier Dr. BK Khanna, of course. And let me just begin. In fact, I can go on. So that's why let me just begin to pass the mic over to sir and let him speak for about. Let him learn. Let us all learn by his experience about the vast experience that he's had in the forces. Sir, Jai Hind, sir, and thank you very much for taking your time, sir.
Thank you very much, Ali. Thank you for having me on your studio, and I'm privileged that you are there. And it's so happened that I met day before yesterday, and of course here I am. In fact, as you wanted it, at your service. So whatever I can, in fact, tell about my life, and of course my career in the army or the life in the army is more important. So, and then of course I would like to share with your viewers the thing. You can ask any specific thing which you wanted, or you want me to say something beforehand before you start asking me questions.
So you had a very, very illustrious career. First, in the 5 Rajputana Rifles, you commanded them. In fact, that unit was also in during Op Pavan in Sri Lanka. It earned 23 decorations, including 1 Mahavir Chakra, 3 Veer Chakras, Youth Seva Medal, 5 Sena medals, 2 mentioned in dispatches, and many other gallantry awards. You did so well. So we would like to know from such an illustrious officer about how was it joining the first course. Let's start from the beginning, sir. The first course of the officers training school at that time.
Right. In fact, it was in 1962 war. That is the time, of course, we got motivated that we must join the army. And that time, of course, we had not even finished the inter. And at that time, of course, the inter, that is what nowadays they call it 12 plus 1, you can say. That is, the inter was there. So we passed it in 63, and the 65 is the, rather 64 and 65 is the one we applied it, and then we went for the SSB. And they said this short service, they used to call it a short service regular course. And it was for the first time they wanted to try it out. They had tried out at all the emergency commissions, 12 of them. And after that, of course, they said that, okay, we will have some the backup for the regular try a short service course for about 5 years initially were given to us. And we, in fact, reached Chennai, I think, remember, this was 28th of June 1965. And uh, after that, of course, we have gone for the Golden Jubilee, and I can just compare you at what we had at that particular time. So we had only the barracks. We had only, in fact, no, even for the our swimming class, etc. We used to go to I mean, one of the hotels only that they only, and then of course it was a, in fact, ad hoc arrangement, I can say it, which was there, and then yes. We were on trial. They wanted to see whether it's going to be successful or not. And we were about 424 officers and who passed out from this year. So I think some got relegated, in fact, for some time. But ultimately, the total number was about 424. And there, of course, I mean, we didn't have any, even our SS2. SS2 came only after we had passed out, after we passed out. So we didn't have any juniors with us, and we didn't have any seniors also with us. Only 10 characters. So,
अच्छा,
but yes, it proved to be, in fact, good. And thereafter, of course, the army has continued with having the short service commission officers, not only for the men, but also for the ladies too. Also, and it's very good, of course, initiative. And of course, I'm happy that we now have more than, I think, 140 course also running now, and that is, of course, we went thereafter. Of course, I was commissioned into the five Rajputana rifles, which is also known as the Naples rifles. And uh, when I was given, uh, the movement order from the OTA, we used to call that OTS at that time, of the training school, not OT. I mean, not of the training academy. Uh, it was given that you have to go to Pindi Mahasran. I came to, because I belong to Delhi, so I came to Delhi, and then of course I was trying to find out from the railways as to where is Pindi Mahasran. So Pindi Mahasran, of course, this thing, they said that they know, I mean, station in India is Pindi Mahasran. Then I went to the army headquarters just to find out those 15 days, which get some joining time before go to the unit. And it's only the army headquarters who told me that Pindi Mahasran is in Pakistan. So our battalion was there, in fact, a territory of Pakistan at that time. And that's where, of course, we joined in on 24th of April 1966. Thereafter, of course, did normal courses and the army, whether it was the commando, and so all these things courses were very, very, in fact, initiation, of course, you can say that I did the commando, now commando 5. The thing, commando, JC, and the senior commander, of course, the high command also. But yes, went for the staff, this thing as a G3 only. In fact, we're in Nagaland, and we had in fact, good fortune of capturing Mohommed. Of course, hats off to the troops. So the Mohommed this also was the turning point as far as Nagaland politics is concerned, because he
तो
was the
नागालैंड
chief
में
of
कहाँ
the
पे
army
थे
staff
सर
of the
आप?
Naga Federation
सर नागालैंड में कहाँ पे थे
group,
आप?
and thereafter, of course,
सर वेयर
when
नागालैंड वर यू सर?
pardon.
सर नागालैंड में कहाँ पे थे आप?
I was in Chakabama. Chakabama is
चकमामा
in
सर,
fact, yes, Chakabama. Chakabama is was the
चाकेसांग बेल्ट सर,
81,
चाकेसांग बेल्ट
81.
नियर फुट जीरो
Okay, okay,
सर,
okay, okay. 80, that's 81 brigade was there. So then,
81 ब्रिगेड
of
सर.
course, yeah.
सर which year was this if I may ask?
Which area?
Which year? कौन से साल में था ये?
Oh, I 1968.
1960. Okay, sir,
68.
okay.
Just
The
after about
later on,
2 years
much
plus
later on,
only.
sir.
2 years plus. Yeah, 2 years plus only, of course, I got my first, of course, staff appointment. And that was
Sir,
G3 in there, in fact, Nagaland. And
sir, much later, sir,
I think so.
General
And
Kukreti,
from,
General P.L. Kukreti, much later
yeah,
on, in the late 70s,
yeah,
early 80s, General P.L.
yeah.
Kukreti, he commanded that brigade, 81 Mountain Brigade. And
Oh,
incidentally, my
that did
father
it
was
later.
the BM to General Kukreti, sir, at
Yeah,
Chakabama.
yeah, okay, okay, right, right.
Sir.
In fact, from there only, when we were in Nagaland only, we when 71 war started, and of course the complete of the division was pulled out from there, and we also came down, and of course did our when you are involved in the contingency, naturally is in fact the tactics are different. But when we knew that we had to go into Bangladesh, of course, then of course it was at that time, of course, India, I mean East Pakistan. We came down to Dimapur area. That Dimapur area is the one, of course, we did almost about 6, 7 weeks of training for the norm, and that is our own professional tactics. And then we moved on to the, in fact, the area that is basically that area of Dharmanagar area. That's where our brigade was there only. And then, in fact, by 20th of November, this thing also, and we went in. we had about three battalions, for Kumaon, 10 Maha, and three Punjab. These were three battalions with us, all three very good battalions. And we went first captured the Chatlapur, the BOP. Then, of course, the Simshenagar was the bigger town. And later on, of course, when the war had actually started, we went and captured this thing in deeper also, this thing. And then, of course, ultimately went over to Sylhet also. Now, one thing I would like to mention here, when we captured these, in fact, Pakistani prisoners, etc., and they were mostly the issues were no officers that time. And when I was, of course, I was there, of course, the headquarters only. So when we were, in fact, the interrogating them, and what that Jesus, I still remember his words. They said, "Yes, साहब, इंडिया के ऑफिसर और पाकिस्तान के जीसू और जवान अगर मिल जाएं तो हम पूरे वर्ल्ड को फतेह कर देंगे." So, but then I told him, I said that we don't require an army because it's good that you said so, but we have also got equally good Indian troops also. That's why we are going. So he said that he said why I'm saying it. He said so basically because the Pakistan officers they hardly visit the forward area, etc. I mean, the whole of this is that we have been. He was there for last part of 1 year, and he said I saw my company commander only twice. That was for the time. So, but yes, we did well, and Jamshednagar, Maulvi and Sylhet is the area. Maulvi is the area, of course, where they had the brigade quarter. This also, and yes, we did well. Of course, I also got recommended for the seniors. The award was a little bigger, but I got a chief army commendation that time. But thereafter, of course, came back to the battalion. Battalion after that, of course, I mean, just for 2 years again there, and then of course went back to as a group testing officer in fact, this thing in Meerut. I would like to mention here also, because at that particular time, the Services Selection Board officers had mostly the the people who have been overlooked, whether it was GTO, whether they IOs, etc. And they were there for donkey years, but 10 years, 20 years or so. And then that is the time, of course, when some of those issues were rejected, and they, in fact, complained to the Field Marshal Manek Shah that, they think that we were asked because we did not pay the bribe, etc. That's why we were rejected. Then, of course, the inquiry was held at this also, and there, of course, a number of court martials took place, and of course, even the Meerut Service Selection Board was disbanded, and it was sent to the Roorkee at the time. And that is the time when my nomination came, and when it came, okay, you got to go for the GTO. So I went to the CO. As I said, I hope I am doing well, because GTO only the people who are super suited, they go there. So how come my name has come by this only? And he said, yes, I quite agree with you. Let me ask and tell you this early that it is because he wrote this to Army headquarters that this boy doing well, why he's being nominated for the GTO course there, this thing here. So the reply which came from the MS branch, that General, in fact, they say at that time, General Manek Shah has picked up these people personally. And we were one of the first people, of course, but I mean, I think 18 of us, there only we went there. But we did, of course, in our training here in the department in Delhi, as far as our theoretical training is concerned. But for the practical, we had to go to the SSBs. So, of course, I went to the SSB, which was, of course, as I said, it was shifted from Meerut to Roorkee. And can you imagine, of course, out of those 18 officers, in fact, only 4 were recommended. Because they wanted, of course, to stay back there only. If they know, of course, the reliever, naturally they will stay back there only. So, of course, I was one of those 4, one or something who stayed back. But those 4, this 3 years which I spent it there, and then later on, of course, Roorkee also, they had gone temporary only. Our board, 17 SSB board, moved to Bangalore after about 6 7 months only, and then Bangalore is the one, of course, which I spent most of my time as a GTO, this thing. So, and then of course that was one of the best times, of course, I said as a GTO, because you got a lot of satisfaction also of selecting the various kinds of entries, whether it is NDA, whether it is because there's a lot of different, like say, the boys which come from the NDA and the boys which come from the SL Commission. So altogether different materials we get it as. But it was very good, but we also got an opportunity to prepare for my staff college, and from there only equipment for the staff college in the Wellington, and then this thing that was way back in what 78. Yes, we did the 78 course, 78 1978, and then of course after that also went to JNK. It was my posting after that staff posting in 26th Infantry Division. And after that, came back to the battalion. Can you imagine again? For 2 years, I was there in the battalion. Then I moved on to, as a DQ in Mizoram. I was there in the Mizoram also. At that is the time, of course, I mean, just so happened at that time also, Lal Denga is the one, of course, who surrendered. And he's the one that came over this year. So, and then that was that time only for me. Then 84 to 86 is the one I've said. So then came back to, but got my promotion, but they didn't go, come back to the battalion. I went over to the
Where
Western
were you
Command.
in Mizoram?
Pardon?
Mizoram,
Mizoram,
like
I
कहाँ
was
पे थे आप?
in
Lumai,
Chakabama.
Lingpui, Serchhip,
Chakabama.
या Aizawl?
अच्छा, मिजोरम के अंदर सचिप. I was in
Serchhip में थे आप? Right,
Sarchip.
right, sir.
That is, in fact, between
Right.
Lungle as well as is halfway through.
Of course,
And
sir,
Sarchip, of
sir.
course,
I'm very familiar with that entire belt, sir, entire northeast. I'm very, very familiar with.
in fact, I mean, to tell you very frankly, we were not there initially. Sarchip cantonment was set up by us. We
Okay,
had gone,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
that 181 brigade was there only, and because
Sir,
we
right, sir.
set up that the same brigade headquarters there only, and
Sir,
all
which year
those.
was this?
Huh?
Which year was this?
That was 1984-85.
Okay, sir. In
84,
2005,
of
I've
course,
seen the
we.
Serchhip cantonment. पूरा अच्छे से देखा है मैंने. Sir,
Then,
I was
of course,
ADC
now
to
there is no
GOC 3
brigade.
Corps. So, sir,
Now there is no brigade there, because later on, of course, I had gone there. So then, of course, they came back to the so no, on promotion, and came over as a G1 planning in the Western Command. And luckily, at that time,
sir.
is the one which all you must be knowing about it only. That is the brass tacks took place. Brass tacks 1, brass tack 2, brass tack 3, brass tack 4. So, and was lucky that we finished up to the brass tacks, and then where, of course, I went to command the battalion from there in Kanpur. We were there for 7 8 months only. At the time when in fact, the thing started off in Sri Lanka, and I think 13th or 14th of October only we were inducted into Sri Lanka. And these things were not all that good in Sri Lanka when we were moved in there. So, and of course, there also, my battalion was there in Kanpur. Uh, Kanpur Brigade had only 2 battalions. The 3rd battalion, in fact, was not there, and the 2nd battalion also, one Bihar. Of course, they had the 2 companies there in Delhi. And in fact, the Lucknow Brigade, 41 Brigade, is the one had the 2 battalions. They didn't have the 3rd battalion. So we were the one, of course, we moved from Kanpur to and then, of course, we flew into Sri Lanka. Uh, uh, the things were not, as I said, so it's not all that good, but we were the last one to move there. And luckily, of course, the task which was to be done by the IPKF to link up with the Jaffna fort, because the LTT had garroted that Jaffna fort, and they were pounding in that area, and one Maratha light infantry was there, and that is where they were creating a lot of problem. They had also, in fact, later on airlifted one of the company of 8 Mahar near Milestone 3. That is Milestone 3 from the Jaffna fort assets. But there also the entity surrounded them. And then that's the time, of course, where we came there, and I'm proud to say my boy did very well, and the Nepalese rifles were the first battalion, of course, to link up with the Jaffna Fort, and that was the first task of the IPKF also. And it's a recorded one only, because not only I'm saying it just because of sake only, it's a recorded, and I got it from by the General Kalkat, who was the overall in charge, as to that says that yours was the battalion. Did very well. Okay, overall, of course, in fact, except for in the south, we were there for 14 months till December. So, I mean, well, I got, the battalion did get a lot of casualties also. I lost two officers and 33 Devans. 33 Devans. About five officers, six DCOs, and 86, rather 84, not 86, 84 was they were wounded also. That was the overall, that 14 years. But yes, we did kill about one, exact number is 199, total number was there. And well, number of course, their hideouts, number of course, so the battalion did very well. They know not only because that time I just want to say one thing, that overall there were about, I think, four divisions there only, and the number game was there at that time, because which is the battalion which is doing very well. So each of the division commander was going to was asked as to you can choose three battalions from your own division, and two battalions had to be from the other division. So this thing also, that they wanted to know which is the battalion which is doing overall well. So, and I'm very proud to say that the Nepalese Rifles name was there by all the divisions. So that was very credible. We got one Mahavir Chakra, we got three V Chakras, and got YSM also, and then I think six addition the Sena Medal and other commendation cards, etc. Overall 23 awards we got it in those 14 months. That was, of course, the battalion's this thing initiation, and thereafter the battalion has not looked back, and they have been doing very well, and excellent work, and they have been doing. But yes, initially, after that, of course, when I went back to, we came back to Kanpur. One of the battalions, of course, came back to originally to the this thing. I will like to mention here one incident. When we came back, so as you know, in the history, they said that the IPK was again required to go back to Sri Lanka to disarm the, in fact, the Sri Lankan army. And this thing also, the battalions were being asked for to present it. So our name also, the commander asked me, I said, yes, sir, we will be ready. And the corps commander, General, at that time, one corps commander, General Sharma was there, and he said, from my this corps, five battalions had gone, and four battalions have refused to go back because they were asked whether they'd like to go back to Sri Lanka again. But only five Rajiv, of course, is saying it, they would like to go back to Canada. So I only hope the CO as well as the brigade commander have not, in fact, ganged up to get the battalion. I would like to speak to the boys. So the commander told me that he's coming, and this is what he says. I said, okay, let him come, sir. We had packed up. The whole thing was packed up only. I didn't tell the boys at all. I didn't tell them. In fact, this thing came, and we are going back again. And they came there. I got the JSO mess opened up. He came over and he met all these JSOs, and he said that, साहब सभी आप कैसे जा रहे हैं वापस के लिए, तब दिस थिंग यहाँ पर आपको कैसे हो, साहब ने बोला है कि दूर जाना है करने के लिए। कैसा, हमें पता नहीं था कि मतलब क्या, हमें तो जाना चाहते हैं दोबारा, यहाँ पर कुछ होता नहीं है, हाथ में थोड़ा सा है ना, मेरे खुजली होती रहती है कि वो कहीं काम करेंगे करने के लिए। So then he's like, so he said, yes, we want to go. We are very happy to go back there for this thing. And this was basically by everybody who said so. That is, one thing more I would like to to tell your viewers, that in Sri Lanka, of course, there is a lot of rapport between the officers as well as the jawans. Can you imagine when in fact, the officer, Major Raja Chaturvedi, he was hit, of course, when the link up was taking place with this guy. So in near milestone 2, the singer, so he kept on, of course, leading it. Of course, there was MMG, which is in front of it only, and then of course he charged into that only. He got hit very badly. But the other, of course, the two other MMGs, they had put it up because so he, of course, I mean, unfortunately, of course, he died after this. So now they won't allow his body to be brought. The body was of the
Oh,
general of Raja Chaturvedi were there, and they won't allow. So it is our own two boys who were there with him. They ventured, he said, because of to get the bodies. They also died in that day, but they made sure they brought the body back. That is the comradeship because of we have it, in fact, in the army, etc. And in fact, there are certain people I'm seeing it there, they're trying to, in fact, have a rift between the officers and the so no, they cannot be so. They are so intermingled with each other that so I mean left the battalion in 1989. But today also on the New Year's Eve and then even on the various festival days, I get a lot of in fact, calls from my own Jesuit who was of course were there only. They were the first. They are the first one to. I mean, the thing which we must be clarify is just Indian Army, the relation between the Jawans as well as the officer is like a family. It's a
yes,
family
sir.
only. Because like anything happen in the family, as such, so they all get together. They, in fact, have full sorrow. Because anything happened even to the battalion now also, any Jawan ऐसा जैसे you ring me आपके सर वो उधर ऐसा ऐसा हुआ है. I said okay, I will go there. I go there. We go there. In fact, whosoever the officer nearby, so they go there, and of course they with the family to tell them that yes, we are there with you. The thing that it is in fact, as I said, the family is a lifetime relation. Unlike in the other,
जी,
so the civil, etc., आपने पोस्ट छोड़ी उसके बाद nobody going to ask you. But here is a lifetime association, and it is that's why we rightly say it is a second family. Your family, and there's a second family is your army. You merit into the army. That's what they're doing. Well, after that, of course, I
and
mean,
look at the connection,
well, of
sir.
course,
Look
I
at the
came over
connection.
to
I met
I went to
you,
the high command. This
sir. Look
nomination
at the
came.
connection. I met you day
Huh?
yesterday. You're wearing your side cap, and I walked up to you. I said, "As a veteran, I must pay my respect and regards," and that's how we
Uh,
connected straight away, sir.
Say again. I just couldn't hear me.
So I said that is the connection. I mean, I saw you at the News 18 conclave where you were wearing your side cap, and I just walked up to you and I wished you, and I conveyed my respect and regards to a
Mhm.
veteran, and then I got to know you SS1. I was like,
Mhm.
that is the connection, the bond we have in the army. You are right, absolutely. It's a family, sir. It's a totally close knit family.
There's no doubt on. There's no doubt on. I mean, there's no comparison. No comparison with this with the Rudy. Uh, well, of course, there are a number of instances. Of course, I have written a book. I will give it to you, the book also. In fact, that is Deepest Rifles in Upper One, and that is not for circulation. Of course, I've given it
You've
only
authored four
basically.
books, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm?
You've authored four books, and you are a guest faculty at 37 universities, sir.
Yeah. In fact, I mean,
Sir,
I keep going there, but 37 universities and professional institutions are there only. I keep going there and give my, in fact, lectures. After that, of course, because I went to the BSF for 3 years. I was there in the Jaisalmer, and that's 3 years, of course, in their academy as the chief instructor. That in taken for. And then, of course, I came over to the in Delhi, and then where, of course, they offered me that National Institute of Disaster Management. I didn't apply for it. National Institute of Disaster Management, okay, please come and help us also. And that way, of course, at that time, the disaster management was coming up. That was 2003. For 1 year, I was there with them. Then, of course, the National Disaster Management Authority came into being with General NC, which, of course, was leading it. And we, in fact, had gone there. I mean, they said so to congratulate him, and he said, okay, you come and help us out. So that's, of course, myself and General Kaushal, of course, we were there as an advisor to him for this thing initially. And initially, we worked from his house only. National Disaster Management Authority, we can proudly say that, yes, we were part of the initial team, which, of course, raised it. And, of course, now you know where it stands now, as of course, it will be there only. But those initially, they were hard. They know not only because everything was being done, and there were no IS, no officers, I guess, so others were posted except for the members as such. and well, we had a hard time. We had a hard time. That was 3 4 years, but I was there for about 10 years, and this thing is so. And now, of course, I'm working with the UN organization, which is known as UN DRR Arise India, basically to look after as a disaster risk reduction in the private sector. Well, of course, I keep going to the various universities also. Of course, like say tomorrow also I got a lecture with the PhD students in the IP University and number of professional institutions also, whether it is the IS Academy, whether it is the Police Academy, whether it is BSF or the CRPF, etc. And of course, in the civil also. This one, so I've been going there, and well, of course, in the last about I think 1 2 years because of the COVID, mostly it is now on the thing through the virtual only. Like earlier time, of course, I used to go as only, but it's quite a bit of satisfied in fact career I have had it, and I would recommend in fact our youth also to please volunteer for the armed forces. This particular career is the one of course which will give you the satisfaction of your lifetime, and you will like to go back at this thing, have it again for a good.
That's very nice. So you had the exposure of going to the paramilitary, to the border security force, and you were deployed in the Jaisalmer sector in Rajasthan. So tell us about your deputation to the BSF, sir. How did that come about and the experience
Okay,
there, sir?
okay. Yeah. In fact, the unfortunate because with the short service commission officer, of course, we in fact joined them. Like I joined them in 21 army, 21 years only. So it is a little late. And before us, of course, the emergency commission officers were, in fact, there. So there was, in fact, this thing. So there was a lot of course, the years, of course, we had to wait till we get the next, our next board was not only. And that is one of the reasons, of course, the age caught up with us, of course, although, I mean, I was doing quite well. But yes, our board was not held. And before that, of course, my age of retirement was coming up. The thing was, I would like to thank one thing here only because after my command of the brigade in Firozpur, of course, I came back to Delhi. So this said, okay, okay, my last posting, but 1.5 years I would like to spend in Delhi
Firozpur, sir,
only before retirement.
Firozpur, Hussain
And
wala
then
border.
yeah, yeah, Hussain was about Hussain was about, yeah. And that of course, yeah, so that is so we came. The thing I told them, I said I want my posting, दिल्ली में posting कर दो मेरी. तो they said, sir, आप अभी तो गए हो इधर से. I mean, 2 years back when you have gone from here, we cannot post you, but your name is coming up for the NDC. Can you have your age, in fact, decreased by 1 year? I said, no, sorry, I know that, that I will retire as a brigadier. Can you get me Delhi? I said, no, Delhi नहीं है, हम आपको वो वाले पोजीशन दे देते हैं जो एनडीसी के बाद में देते हैं. That's how, of course, I got posted to Udhampur. Udhampur, there only 71 Siberia, and a year plus I was there. And then, of course, in the BSF, there are 5 brigadiers, right from the initial time only. And they think so they have been on deputation to the BSF as such. And later, of course, that getting them absorbed also. So those 5, whenever any one of them for they retire, so they ask the army headquarters. They said the army headquarters then send certain the names, etc., and then select one of them, seeing their profile. And that's where they picked me up also. And then they asked my son, would you like to go to BSF? Yes, I opted for it. And well, 6 years were very good. And 3 years in fact, in Jaisalmer, they were quite, in fact, quite an experience. And this thing, I had a border which was for 499 kilometers. Can you imagine that area? Beautiful. But those 3 years there, and then, of course, as a chief instructor in the academy, they also were both satisfying. Yes, both, they were very, very satisfying. And those 5 brigades are still there, and they keep on, I mean, changing over after their retirement. After, of course, your deputation, of course, they ask for your absorption. Also, would like to get absorbed in the BSF. In case you offer it up, then they absorb you also till the age of superannuation, which is 60 years in the BSF, 60 years in the BSF. And that's how, of course, I was able to serve till about 60 years there only. And then, of course, as I said, so National Disaster Management Authority, I was there for 10 years. and now, of course, with the FICCI and as a UN they also arise India, looking after the disaster management in the private sector. Very satisfying. Don't this is not a 8 to I mean 9 to 5 job, but yes, as an advisor and there also, and then for looking after that as their CEO, as a CEO.
So you have played an active role in the climate change, which is, in fact, if you ask anyone today, which are the two words which are spoken out the most, which is a matter of concern, the two words would be climate change. So could you throw some light on climate change, on what your contribution is and what you've been working? So we all know you've been doing great work with regard to the concern globally of climate change, sir, right now.
थोड़ा सा कम सुनाई दिया है जैसे आई जस्ट आई एम सॉरी इनफैक्ट थोड़ा सा ऐसे हार्ड हेयरिंग
No
हो रही
problem,
है
sir.
It's a little bit hard hearing.
Sir. So there is the global issue right now around the world is of climate change, and you have played a vital role in contributing your bit to climate change and to put your think tank together. So could you throw some light on the climate change, sir, which is a matter pressing around the world, concerning the entire world right now, sir?
Yes, there's no doubt, of course, the climate change is taking place, and it has been decided as the COP, the 26 also, that is in Paris, that by the end of this century, they want to, of course, reduce this is by 1.5. That is basically the heating, not less than that only. But what is basically happening is there only that the people, especially the developing as well as the developed country, so they are not paying much of attention to it. With result, what is this, that the climate change is coming, I mean, faster. That's why we see this thing that whenever the rain is supposed to take place, it's not raining. When it is, when, like say, Cherrapunji area used to be the wettest this area, but now no more, no more there. You have the, in fact, the floods in Rajasthan. You could never heard of it. You have this so the climate change is taking place, the sea erosion is taking place, so some of our own towns, etc., like say the Bombay and this thing the Chennai, etc., they are likely to, over a period of time also, they go underwater. That is their rule. So unless until, of course, we check up now, the thing is being asked, this thing that what can, as a, if a citizen, I can do further. Well, you can, citizen can also do a lot. This so like don't use your in fact the energy as much as you can feel like. AC कम चलाइएगा यानी कि similarly the energy which you are using it, so you have it, reduce it, and then of course automatically the thing will come down. Similarly, like say, the vehicle, the pollution which is taking place, the vehicles which are there only. So those vehicles, don't use those private vehicles. Use the government this thing, transport asset which is being given. The government is improving it, of course. I mean, but it's taking a little bit of time. But yes, hopefully, of course, we should be able to, or at least, I mean, combined pooling, etc., so that you don't. All this is because whenever the energy being used, etc., there is a warming up taking place. So that is the overall getting the effect there only. And of course, the pollution, polluted, of course, the industries. Now, what is happening is there only that, like say the chemical industries, etc. You see in the developed countries, so they are no more have most of them. They are not having the chemical industry because they are polluting it more only. So they are giving it to the developing country. "Okay, would you like to do it only?" And where of course we are given, of course, with it. Similarly, waste the management, they are sending all their waste to us only to dispose it of. Oh, in fact, I mean, they give you the incentive as they only paisa de denge, but only thing is that yes, we are getting in because more affected than those developing countries. So hence, of course, the government is taking the action. What is required, of course, India has taken initiative. This thing is use the energies that is the renewable energy, etc., like solar, like also, rather using the other this coal based energy, etc., then you will be able to have better, of course, future, we should think of our generation and not ourselves only. So if we are make our planet more eco-friendly, trees नहीं कटनी नहीं करनी चाहिए. That is what the requirement is there only. Similarly, of course, have as many plantations of tea wherever you can only, rather than having the concrete jungles, etc. in the place. Another thing is that there are a lot of shift which is taking place from the villages to the towns, etc. And by the time, of course, I mean, as we know, at the time of partition, we had only, I think, the ratio was 30-70. 30% only were there only, in fact, the in the cities, and the 70 were in the villages. But now, of course, it is almost about 50-50. And they were saying it by 2050. So then it means, I mean, the almost will be reverse, 60-40, 70-30. So everybody is coming to the area. What is happening is that here you will have a lesser space, you will the more disasters will take place, because if the disaster take place, there will be a lot of, in fact, the damage which will be there only. You see this, in fact, I mean, one of the factor, even in this earthquake which happened in Syria
Syria, Turkey, ji.
and Iraq, etc., Syria and the thing, and Turkey, is there only they most of those houses which have fallen down, and they are, in fact, they're only 10 years old, less than 10 years old. So means, in fact, when they were building up this, because so they were not sustainable. So although, of course, I have listened to some of those Turkeys, of course, the people who put in the UN, that what good work they have done it. I listened to them in March, May also last year. But actually, we found that nothing of that on the ground was not there, and that is one of the reasons. Of course, the casualties which took place. More than 50,000 people have died. I mean, this is so we have to have more sustainable actions are required to be taken by the government, but the government will not be able to, like say, private buildings, etc. They will not be able to, in fact, retrofit them. उनकी retrofitting तो हमें करानी पड़ेगी ना अपने घरों की करने के लिए. So we should see the first thing that whether I have in my house the will be able to sustain the maximum the damage we can come as far as the earthquake is concerned, especially in the area of Delhi when you are living in zone 3, zone 4, zone 5 area. Delhi is in zone 4. Zone where the earth can come. Secondly, of course, whether, and God forbid, in case the disasters do happen, because we cannot prevent the earthquake from coming. But yes, we can, of course, prevent them becoming a disaster. That is what that's why they say the earthquake do not, in fact, kill people. It is badly constructed buildings because which kill people. Now, earthquake happening in the area of Rajasthan, in the Jaisalmer, in the area, so the casualty will be much less as compared to what it will happen in Delhi, or in fact in Bombay, or in Chennai, or in Bangalore. The casualty will be much more. The thing is that yes, we have to first see that only, and then of course, God forbid something happen. Have we got our own the plan at the family level? Have we got it family level? But in case there is a disaster happen or something, so the people may not be. In fact, earthquake happened during the daytime. Somebody, in fact, the husband may be there in the office. The lady will be there in the house. Children will be in the school. So how are you going to, in fact, meet each other in case the earthquake happened during that particular time? You have to fix up some RV. इस एरिया में हम मिलेंगे. Fix up something outside the area where everybody, in fact, can ring up. That he can just हम ठीक ठाक हैं, and that person can be like किसी का यहाँ पर है, somebody has got a person there in Bombay or sometime in Chennai, etc. So everybody knows the number. They ring up that only. It says I am safe. So the others will also ring up that only, and then they say only. We should not be using those phones, etc. too much. Otherwise, cluttering will take place, and of course, the rescuers, etc., they will find it difficult to find out. So that is the one we call it a family disaster management plan. It should be there only, and in detail, of course, I can keep on continuing what all they should be doing it. But yes, there is a requirement of a family. There is also a requirement of having this thing as a mohalla or development plan of the district, development plan of the state, etc. Requirement is there only. Of course, we have got it at the national level. national development plan, and I was a party in making that. I was a party in making that.
Right, sir? Sir, it's been such a wonderful conversation with you. And before we part, is any message you would like to give to the youth of the nation, sir?
To the new generation, I would
Yes,
like to
sir.
say, yes, that yes, firstly, of course, I would say that you should all call yourself Indians. Do not say that I am a Hindu or a Muslim, a Sikh or Isai. So we are Indian first and Indian. So the day you keep saying it, yes, we are Indian, you will see India progressing it. And it is not only that we have, in fact, we have to come to the armed forces only to know about the nationalism. Nationalism can be with anybody. Wherever you are, also nationalism has come up. So please, in fact, take India, this thing as a whole. We have to take everybody along with us only to make India strong. This is also so that tomorrow, when our next generation come, we will say, yes, India is a superpower. India is a superpower, as I would say. Armed forces are something they are good enough. They will be taking care of the external. Don't worry about that. Only you, whatever you can give it, they also do it. Don't ask what the country can give it to you. What you can do to the country is what should the country should be there. Only. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. It was such an honor and a pleasure, sir, being in conversation with you. And so many insights you gave, which will be very, very valuable to all of us who hear this conversation. Thank you very much, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank
Just ending the broadcast, sir.